Okay, test tomorrow on chapter 11, sections 1, 2, and 3. And so today we're going to review. I have a study guide for you, and we're going to work through it together in class. But first, we're going to go over all of the formulas that you're going to need to know, and you need to commit them to memory. So I'm waiting for everyone to get organized and settled and write this down. Okay, the first thing we have is a rectangle. Remember, the area of a rectangle can be found by multiplying the base times the height, while the perimeter is 2 times the base plus 2 times the height, because the opposite sides are equal to each other. And remember, perimeter is like putting a fence around a pasture. It's a linear measurement, while area is square, or like square footage, trying to figure out how much is in the pasture. Okay, we also have triangles. We have the formula for area of a triangle, which was 1/2 base times height. And then the perimeter of a triangle, just to understand, is you add the 3 sides together. Now you may have specific triangles, like equilateral triangles, where all 3 sides are equal. But this is just a generic perimeter formula for any triangle. All right, we had parallelograms, where we said the area of a parallelogram was exactly like a rectangle. It's base times height. Except in a parallelogram, the height is not a part of the shape. It's found inside the figure. And the perimeter is exactly the same as the perimeter of a rectangle also, because once again, opposite sides are equal. Square. Remember, a square has 4 equal sides, so the area is side squared, while the perimeter is 4s. A rhombus. If you're given the diagonals, the area is 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. The perimeter is exactly like a square because it has 4 equal sides. We're going to see an example, though, where we're not given the diagonals, and it's easier to use a parallelogram formula. But we'll see that whenever we're working through the pretest. Because remember, a rhombus is a parallelogram. And then finally, we had our trapezoids, where the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the height times base 1 plus base 2. Remember, the 2 bases are the parallel sides of the shape, and the height is found inside. Now, I have a picture here drawn of an isosceles trapezoid, which, recall, is handy because when we draw our little 2 dotted lines there to make our 90-degree angles, we've created 2 congruent triangles, where this portion here, this portion here has the exact same measure as the portion over here, which I'm messing all up, as this one here. Okay, so just remember that when you're doing isosceles trapezoids, because you're going to need to know that. All right, now let me hand out your handout. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I appreciate it, Miss Al.
So sweet. Okay, now tomorrow your test is going to look pretty much like this. And I want to give you partial credit because there's a lot involved in finding these answers, but you're going to have to help me out in giving that partial credit. So I'm going to explain to you now how I want it done. Okay?
Should we write this
Well, as we're working it, you're gonna write it down, and so you'll see exactly what's going on. For each question, you're going to need to give me the specific formula to answer the question. Now, you may have to use more than one formula, but if it's asking for the area of something, I want the area formula written down. Then you're going to rewrite it, but you're going to have the dimensions plugged in. And then I'm going to want a final answer. So for instance, number 1, here's, imagine this squiggly line was your question. I would want to see, because number 1's asking for the perimeter, I would first want to see the perimeter equals 4S. Then I'm going to want you to plug in what S is. And then I'm going to want your answer. Now, you're going to box off your final answer. When I'm checking your test, I'm going to be looking only at your final answers. If it's wrong, then I'm going to go back to see if you have all this correct. If it's right, it's right.
Oh, so
Okay?
if we forget something at the beginning, we
Right. But if it's wrong, you won't get partial credit if you don't have what I'm looking for.
Gotcha.
And I'm not going to go searching through your scratch work. And I don't want any other scratch work on the paper because there's not going to be enough room. So I'm only going to want to see this. Okay? All right. So before we even get started, on a separate sheet of paper, like on loose leaf, go ahead and jot down the answers to the pretest so that in case we run out of time, you'll have the answers and you can go back tonight and work and make sure you get to them. I will accept a radical answer tomorrow or a decimal answer. But if you give me a decimal answer, it needs to be to the nearest tenth. Okay, so number 1 on your thing says this. Find the perimeter of a square. Now, yes, it gives you the area, but the question is, what's the perimeter? So, the formula you will put is perimeter equals 4 times the side. Now, the next thing I'm going to be looking for on the test is find out what the side is. Well, since the area of a square is found by A equals S squared, and they tell me that the area is 25, then by solving the equation, I know that the side is equal to 5, right? Okay, now if you can do that in your head, great, to find the side. But I do want to see P equals 4 times 5, and then I want your final answer. And the final answer boxed off. We're going to be moving rather quickly through this. So get what you can, and you can go back tonight and make sure you've got it all. Number 2 says find the area of a rectangle. So the formula is area equals base times height. If you keep reading, they tell you the base and the height. There's nothing to be figured out. So my base is 4. My height is 2 square roots of 3. As a radical, that's 8 square roots of 3. If you punch that into your calculator and round to the nearest tenth, it's 13.9. You don't have to give me both answers. One is good. But I'm letting you see what both answers are. For number 3, they're asking again about the area of a rectangle, but this time we are told that the area is 106.25, that the height is 12.5, and we are asked for the base. So I will want to see the formula, I want to see the dimensions that you're given, and then I want to see your answer. To solve this equation, you divide both sides by
12.5.
And because dimensions were given to you in centimeters, I want your answer to say 8.5 centimeters. Yes?
So if that was, isn't that supposed to be square?
No.
Oh, you found the base.
Only if you're looking for area is it squared. Okay, number 4